Welcome to my channel, where we discuss everything and all things politics, especially about the 2023 presidential election in Nigeria that was held on February 25, 2023, and the result announced on March 1st, 2023. Now, the long-awaited response from Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of Labour Party, in his final written address to the election petition tribunal, is here with us. And we are going to look at it now, and we're going to see that, like many expected, the lawyers of Peter Obi, in their response, did not disappoint at all in responding to the final written address of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Ahmed declared winner of the election, and that of the Independent National Electoral Commission, the umpire that conducted the highly disputed election. So we're going to look at Peter Obi's response to the final address, or final written address of Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the Independent National Electoral Commission. So now let us look at what is at stake here. What is at stake here is the presidency of Nigeria. Whether the person occupying the position now is the person who actually won the election. Peter Obi is disputing the results as announced by INEC, and that is what we're here to talk about in this channel and in this video. And Peter Obi and his lawyers started by saying that the petition in this address, the petitioner, that is Peter Obi, and the Labour Party, will in this address urge your lordships to uphold that the petitioners provided substantial proof of their petition. You know, in the petition that was in the final address by Tinubu, they said that Peter Obi failed to provide substantial proof that he won the election, or that Tinubu did not win. Okay, but here the petitioner, that's Peter Obi and Labour Party, they are saying that the lordship should note that they have provided substantial proof of their petition. In the proof of their case, the petitioners called 13 witnesses and tendered several documentary evidence. The first respondent, that's INEC, called one witness, while the second and third respondent also called one witness each. That is Kashim Shetima and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, his principal. And the fourth respondent, that is the APC, chose not to call any witness. And they began by taking Tinubu and his lawyers on in a sentence that they made in their own last written address. They said that a sentence in the second to the third respondent's address alarmed the petitioners and millions of Nigerians. The second and third respondent went too low and abandoned discretion when they claimed as follows: our submission is that the petitioners are inviting anarchy. Their ventilation of this issue of non-transmission of results electronically by INEC. Here they were talking about the fact that Tinubu and co said that there will be anarchy, that they are inviting anarchy by questioning the non-transmission of the results as an issue. You know, recently the country was agog with the report that they say if Tinubu's election is annulled, there will be anarchy. So here, Peter Obi's lawyers are responding to them, saying that this is a cheap, misguided, and destructive blackmail, clearly intended to target the country's judicialism and constitutionalism. It is also aimed at cannibalizing our democracy. It will also raise the issue of insecurity if the petitioners emulate the bad example of the second and third respondent. Here, the Peter Obi and his lawyer said that if we follow them to talk like that there will be anarchy, it will increase insecurity in the country. So what they did was wrong. I think many Nigerians condemn that impression that if Tinubu is sacked by the court, there will be anarchy. Here they are insisting that what he did was wrong. What they did was wrong. Now, they now ask, when has it become offensive for petitioners to canvass a ground prescribed for the challenge of an election? Because the ground that Peter Obi and co are challenging the election are the grounds that was laid down in the Electoral Act and in the Constitution, through which you can challenge the outcome of an election. So they now say, when has it become offensive for petitioners to canvass a ground prescribed for the challenge of an election in section 134(1)(b) of the Electoral Act 2022? They say that this is desperation taken too far and can be extremely dangerous. Let the second and third respondents know that where the rule of law is trampled upon or truncated, anarchy reigns supreme. I think I agree with them, because what will lead to anarchy is actually when you trample upon the rule of law. It's not when you follow the rule of law and you sack a sitting president, it will lead to anarchy. No. It's when you trample on the rule of law, then you create condition for anarchy. Here now, Peter Obi and his lawyers, they presented what they call the relevant facts of the matter of the case. They say prior to the conduct of the February 25, 2023 presidential election, the third respondent had previously, that is, they're talking about Kashim Shettima, the vice presidential candidate of the APC and now the vice president, had previously been nominated as a senatorial candidate of the fourth respondent for Bonu Central Senatorial District, and remained so till 15th July 2022, when he withdrew his said nomination as a senatorial candidate of the fourth respondent. While the third respondent was standing nominated as the senatorial candidate, as I first stated, he was unlawfully nominated as the vice presidential candidate of the fourth respondent on 14th July 2022, thereby knowingly allowed himself to be nominated as a candidate in more than one constituency within the meaning and intent of Section 135 of the Electoral Act. The petitioners will argue that the invalid nomination of the third respondent as the vice presidential candidate nullified the nomination/election of the second respondent as the presidential candidate of the fourth respondent within the meaning of the provisions of Section 142 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Here, Peter Obi and his lawyers are saying that because of the double nomination of Kashim Shettima, it has invalidated the nomination of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu by the APC. Now, continuing, they say it is common knowledge that the second respondent, now after talking about the uh, the double nomination, showing the double nomination of Kashim Shettima. They now move into the next important case they have against Tinubu, which it has to do with his forfeiture of $460,000 to the United States government in 1993. They say it is common knowledge that the second respondent was a subject of an order of forfeiture made by the United States District Court, Northern District of Illinois, Eastern Division, in case number 93C 4483. Excuse me. The order of forfeiture against the second respondent, that's Bola Tinubu, was in terms of forfeiting the sum of $460,000, which represents proceeds of narcotic trafficking and money laundering. He went on to say that the order for forfeiture against the second respondent, as Bola Tinubu, was a fine within the meaning of Section 137 1D of the 1999 Constitution, for which a person shall not be qualified for election to the office of the president if he is under a sentence of a fine of any offense involving dishonesty or fraud, or by whatever name called, imposed on him by a court or tribunal. Now, this their position. I have already said it in several videos that by forfeiting $460,000, Tinubu has allegedly committed an offense that is of dishonesty, that is sufficient enough for him to be disqualified. And if you are in doubt on that, I want you to go and read Section 137 of the 1999 Constitution, which contain the conditionalities for anybody to be disqualified from contesting for President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And you will see that his forfeiture of $460,000 fall into that bracket. And the lawyers of Peter Obi and Peter Obi himself, they have drawn that attention to the justices of the court that, look, take note of this. He's forfeited $460,000. It is in line with Section 137, which shows conditions for disqualification of a candidate, presidential candidate. So Tinubu fall into that bracket. That is forfeiture, fall into that bracket. And it is sufficient enough to annul his election or to disqualify him from the election. And if he's disqualified from the election, that's the end of the matter. Now, in continuation, they said that the virus of the statutory and constitutional disqualification of second and third respondents as candidates in presidential election renders their purported election and declaration as the winners of the election invalid, null and void, and liable to be set aside. So this, what I say, that by that forfeiture, it has invalidated his election, making it null and void and liable to be set aside. So the court have an option of setting it aside, nullifying it and setting it aside. And then continue, they say, pursuant to the mandatory provision of the Electoral Act 2022 and the subsidiary legislation made thereunder, to which regulations and guidelines for the conduct of general election 2022, regulations and guidelines and manual for election officials 2023, manuals for election officials. And here they are talking about going by the manual for the election and the electoral guideline that was made by INEC itself. INEC introduced the use of modern technology for the conduct of the 2023 general election. By this, INEC represented provided that it will use bimodal voter accreditation system for the accreditation of voters in the polling units and the upload and transmission of the result of the election in real time on the day of the election and on the day of the election, that INEC in their regulation did agree that the result of the election will be transmitted from the polling units on real time to the INEC RF. That's what they said. That is what they promised to do. They will transmit the results from the polling units to the RF on real time. And continuing, the lawyers now they are reminding the justices to note that INEC vigorously campaigned that the use of technology in the electoral process, including the upload, transmission of the result in real time using the beavers from the polling units to the RF, will ensure the integrity and the credibility of the election result in Nigeria. Now, contrary to the requirement of the law and the manifest disregard of its own representation, the first responder, that's INEC, abandoned and discarded this much expected upload and transmission of the election in real time on the day of the election from the polling units to the IRF. Rather, very strangely, blurred, unreadable, and inaccessible documents, images were uploaded by INEC to the IRF, purporting same to be the result of the election in various polling units. So INEC violated its own guidelines. It violated the Electoral Act because he said that, and the Electoral Act backed it up. I've shown you videos where even the INEC spokesperson, first of all, Okoye, was insisting that the results from the polling units will be captured by beavers, and beavers will transmit it to the RF. Okay? But on the day of the election, INEC failed to do this. Instead, what was found now on the RF were blurred images that nobody can read it, that are unreadable and unaccessible. In fact, one of the witnesses of the Labour Party, a professor of mathematics, was able to calculate 18,088 blurred result sheets that was uploaded on the IRF, with which they use in declaring Bola Tinubu the winner of the election. And that blurred 18,088 result sheets contain an estimated 2.5 million votes that was allocated to Bola Tinubu, which, if you subtract that from the 8.7 million votes that was purportedly earned by Tinubu, Tinubu's number will drop to 6.2 million votes. That is how significant, how huge the number of blood results in the RF have become. Now, continuing, the lawyer said that these blood images and inaccessible documents, which were purported to be the result of the election in the polling units, that is from EC8As, these blood results, they were purported to be from EC8A. But you know that from EC8A is the result sheets, the results that are shared at the polling unit by party agents. After the election, when they counted the votes, the results written down, party agents will be given a copy, the police will be given copies, other other officials will be given copies. Okay. Now, what was in the RF was not in consonance with what was the hard copies. So it doesn't tally up, it doesn't measure up. That is why like former Senate President said, that when there is a dispute between the hard copies of from EC8A that are in the hands of individual party agents and other officials, you go to the IRIF. IRIF will determine who has the correct figures. But now, most of the things in the IRIF are blurred. At least about 18,088 of the results are blurred. So how do you compare the results that is in the hand of the Labour Party official agents, the PDP agents, the APC agents, and the other parties that participated in that election? So that is a serious indictment of that election. And continue, they said that the net result of the upload of the blood images on the IRIF was that the result of the election could neither be authenticated because of these blood result sheets. He said that the Peter Obi and his lawyer, they are saying that the result of the election could neither be authenticated nor verified. And now this is exactly the same thing that the European Union Observer Mission said in their final report in indicting the process of the electoral that produce winners in the election. Say that the way INEC tabulated and collected that result, they cannot be authenticated and they cannot be independently verified. So that is exactly the same position that Peter Obi and his lawyers are holding there, that because of this, the result of the election could neither be authenticated nor verified, and thus lacked credibility and transparency. Now, continuing on this same issue of upload of results, he said that the second and the third respondents' contention and claim that the presiding officers duly uploaded polling unit results to the IRIF flies in the face of the unchallenged documentary evidence of blood unreadable copies of the purported Form EC8A certified copies by the Independent National Electoral Commission and given to the petitioners as the result of the election as per the Form EC8A in the polling units. Now, all these blood results, which Labour Party and Peter Obi also brought as an exhibit in the court, they were given to them by INEC. INEC satisfied them. And that was why, if you have been following what was going on in the court, you see that there were instances where Peter Obi brought boxes of result sheets. Boxes of result sheets were brought. They made reference to it in their final written address. These boxes, those results you see, many of them were gotten from INEC and they were blood. Okay? So INEC is aware that they were blood. So where did they get the results to announce the winner? Okay, so this is an issue in their final address. They drew the attention of the lordships to the fact that those boxes that contain several from EC8A, from EC8B, from EC40G and EC60E, they were given to Peter Obi and his lawyers as true copies of the documents in possession of the first respondent, that's INEC, under section 102, 104, and 105 of the Evidence Act. So sometimes people are asking Peter Obi, they didn't present evidence, they presented boxes of evidence. And that's what they are making reference to in this their final written address. Now they say that these certified copies or purported original copies of election results documents referred to above were in some cases blank A4 papers and pictures of unknown person. Now, these are the things that they use to claim that they have gotten the results with which they announce Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the winner of the election. So they draw attention to all this, to draw attention to the fact that there is no credibility, no transparency in announcing the emergence of Tinubu as the winner of the election. And continuing, they say that they will show in the issuing argument that the second and third respondents' case, as per paragraph 76 of their reply to the petition, to the effect that the results being uploaded on the IRIF are as contained in the respective INEC forms, and that all the results being uploaded emanated from polling units where elections were conducted, is totally out of sync with the unchallenged documentary evidence before the Honorable Court and identified above. So the idea that INEC is claiming that all the results was uploaded, all the results used in the in announcing the winner emanated from polling units where the elections were conducted. Peter Obi and his team say it's not true. By the evidence they have presented, it is not true. So it is now left for the justices to tell Nigerians whether the election that brought Bola Ahmed Tinubu was transparent enough to be accepted as meeting the requirements to stand the test of time, as meeting substantially the requirements for the conduct of the election. And it doesn't show like that from what I'm seeing here, and from what many people have seen, including even the European Union Observer Mission. Now, continuing, Peter Obi and his lawyer, they said that apart from the blatant refusal to comply with the mandatory requirements of the law, the certified true copies of the result of the election given to the petitioners by the first respondent manifestly showed that the purported Form EC8As in several polling units were affected by mutilations, cancellations, alterations, and outright swapping of votes in favor of the second to the fourth respondent against the petitioners. Here also, they are making reference to the fact that despite INEC purporting that you use from EC8A from various polling units to announce the result of the election, is Peter Obi and Labour Party are saying that the results which they have seen, even from INEC, is because they were using INEC's certified true copy to counter INEC. They said that most of those results were affected by mutilations, cancellations, alterations, and outright swapping of votes in favor of the second to the fourth respondent and against the petitioner. That's against Peter Obi and the Labour Party. And you have seen it. If you have gone to check or you look at the tabulations of result of Rivers State, you see a lot of cancellations, mutilations, and all whatnot. Okay, showing you that there's really deliberate manipulation. Now, continuing, the lawyers of P2B said that these acts of non-compliance are manifest on the certified true copies of the forms EC8A given by the INEC to the petitioners and are deemed as sufficient proof of the irregularities, non-compliance thereon within the meaning of the provisions of Section 137N of the Electoral Act 2022. So you can see that from all this evidence they presented, it is enough to show that the election was conducted and marred by irregularities and non-compliance within the meaning of the provisions of Section 137N of the Electoral Act 2022. Going further, they say that the only excuse invented by the respondents in their reply to the petition was that the refusal to comply with the specific requirement of the law, because it's a requirement of the law to upload transmit the result of the election using the beavers from the polling unit to the IRIF was the occurrence of the alleged technological glitches on the day of the election. Here they are making reference to INEC, claiming that the reason why they did not upload the presidential election result on real time to the INEC IRIF was because there were glitches. Now, let us see what the lawyers of Peter Obi are saying about that in response to this glitches issue. The Peter Obi and his lawyer, they said that through the presidential election, he said, though the presidential election was conducted at the same time, on the same day, and at the same respective polling units with the National Assembly, that's Senate and House of Representatives elections, the results of the National Assembly election were successfully uploaded transmitted from the beavers to the IRIF portal. Strangely, only the result of the presidential election, equally held in the same polling units using the same infrastructure, could not, according to the first respondent, as required by law, be uploaded, transmitted from the polling unit to the IRIF. Now, this is an argument that those of us have been making, that how could the same machine that you use in capturing people to vote for Senate, House of Representatives, and Senate and the President, after the election, you were able to use the same machine to upload the senatorial election result, upload the House of Reps election in real time, but you could not be able to upload the most important of all the elections, the presidential election, which showed that there was something fishy. That what happened was nothing like technological glitches. It was a deliberate man-made glitch to ensure that the presidential election result is not transparent, so that they could have the opportunity to manipulate the result. That is what the lawyers of Peter Obi are invariably saying here. Now, continuing, the lawyers of Peter Obi said that they have provided unchallenged evidence. Take note of that word, and I like the way they put it in their final written address. He said, the petitioners, that's Peter Obi and the Labour Party, provided unchallenged evidence. Because if you read the last written address by Wole Olalipekun for Tinubu, they said the Peter Obi couldn't provide any proof. But they say here, they have provided unchallenged evidence that the failure and neglect to upload, transmit the result of the presidential election held on 25th February 2023 was a violation of the coalition process prescribed under the Electoral Act and also substantially affected the result of the election. So what they did, by not transmitting the presidential election result, INEC violated the Electoral Act, which invariably means that that result cannot stand. It cannot stand. The coalition of the result cannot stand. Perhaps that is why there may be a rerun. That is, if the justices look at it from this perspective and Tinubu was still allowed to contest, because if Tinubu is banned, disqualified because of his narcotic links, or because of the alleged forgery of certificates, I think he will not be able to participate in any rerun. But this failure to transmit the result is a violation. It's kind of invalidates whatever figure that INEC purportedly are carrying about, that that's the result of the presidential election result. Now, continuing, this is what the Peter Obi lawyers said. They say from the purported results. Now, I think Peter Obi and Co, they have dealt with this issue of transmission, how it affected the outcome of the election. I think maybe in a subsequent video we're going to look at where their citations to prove their case. Okay, but this is enough for you to understand that INEC's refusal or failure to transmit the result on real time presidential election results was a violation of the Electoral Act. And that is enough to cancel their results that emanated from that process. Then they now move. Another fact that they deal with was the issue of 25% in Federal Capital Territory Abuja. You know, under Section 134, Subsection 2B, for anyone to be declared winner of an election, the person must get 25% in 36 states of the Federation. 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory Abuja. The person must have 25%, 2/3 of the results of 36 states of the Federation. Now, let me get it correctly. For you to be declared a winner of the election under Section 134, Subsection 2B, for anyone to be declared winner of the election, the person must get majority of the vote cast, must get 25% of the votes cast in 2/3 of the states of the Federation and Abuja. Okay. Now, this Abuja is 25% in Abuja is compulsory. Okay, but what Olani Kweku and Tinubu say is not compulsory. It's not true. But here, the P2B and his lawyer are presenting their own stand on the issue of 25%. They say that from the purported result of the presidential election announced, declared by the first respondent on March 1st, 2023, the second and the third respondents as candidate of the fourth respondent did not win 1/4, that's 25%, vote cast at the election held on 25th February 2023 in the Federal Capital Territory, as required by the correct meaning and the interpretations of the provisions of Section 134, Subsection 2B of the 1999 Constitution. Here, they are reminding the justices that Tinubu did not get 25% of the votes cast in Abuja. So, another proof that his election was not in compliance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I think that's where we're going to stop for now. And we are going to diving into the other issues that has to do with why Tinubu should not be allowed to continue to be president of Nigeria based on his inability to meet the constitutional requirements to be so declared as a winner and president of Nigeria, and to show that INEC erred in law, violated both the Electoral Act and the Constitution in their declaration of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the winner of the 2023 presidential election in Nigeria that was held on February 25, 2023. Thank you for watching this video, and if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel, hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you will be among the first to know. And please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, Google will rank it high and recommend it for more people. Thank you. God bless you and yours.